Now, COVID-19 has disproportionately impacted the UK's black and Asian communities.
The actor David Harewood wanted to find out why, and he's been exploring the issue for a new BBC documentary. We'll speak to him in a moment. Let's have a look.
Almost 65% of the population in Brent are of black African, Afro-Caribbean, Pakistani, Bangladeshi or other minority ethnic origin.
How long has this market been here, Mohammed?
Oh, over 20 years.
You can really see the diversity here.
Everybody's here. Africans, and Caribbean, Asians. Everybody come to this market to sell their wares, you know?
COVID must have really impacted this community.
Of that you can be sure. The amount of people that died really, really shook the community and nobody expected.
Well, as we said, David joins us now live on the programme. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us from Vancouver. I know you're doing some filming over there at the moment. It feels like a really powerful story to tell in this documentary. David, why did you want to tell it?
It's just a very personal story. Obviously, when I flew back into England at the very start of this whole pandemic, I sort of walked into a kind of wall of information, and some of the things that were trickling into me were that most of the doctors that first died during that first wave of, I think 95% of the doctors that died during that first wave of COVID were from black or Asian backgrounds. And I thought, well, why was that? And then the more I kind of learned about it, I kind of understood that this virus seemed to be affecting people of colour disproportionately. And obviously, being a person of colour, I wanted to kind of find out why. So this is me just sort of really having a look and kind of investigating the reasons why. I look at vitamin D, I look at genetics, biology, and just try to investigate exactly why this disease seems to be disproportionately affecting us.
I suppose that the assumption that maybe we incorrectly make is that there are biological issues involved in that. But through the course of this documentary, you look at the sort of societal factors, don't you?
Well, I look at them, they just started to reveal themselves. I mean, it's not like they've been there for a long time. I don't think this has been a secret, you know. I mean, health inequality has existed for a very, very long time. I think the coronavirus has really just revealed that, and I think this this documentary really, for me, started to unfold, and I started to see just basically how societal factors disproportionately impact communities of colour.
Yeah, the documentary does, as you said, it spells that out quite clearly. And you mentioned right at the start of our chat here on the programme that it was a personal journey, because you spoke to your sister Sandra as well, didn't you, for this programme?
Yes, I did. She's wonderful. First time she's been on the telly with me, but it was great to see her on. Great to work with her.
Carry on, David.
We were kind of reminiscing and talking about our parents. Our parents came here and were in those sort of forward-facing roles, cleaners and drivers, and working in factories, and many communities of colour are still doing those same jobs. And I think we just kind of just commented on that fact that it seems that we're still having difficulty, as it were, sort of climbing up the social ladder.
And if people do watch this tonight, it's called Why is COVID Killing People of Colour? It's on BBC One at 9 o'clock. They'll hear about a theory from America called weathering, a theory on racism, which you talk about in the programme. Just explain exactly what that is.
Well, weathering is a term which was Dr. Geronimus, I think her name is, and she has her study involved looking at the biological age of black people in America. She was suggesting that the stress of racism, the stress of living in under an oppressive system, almost physiologically ages black people it's almost like a wearing process, a sort of weathering process, and it's an incredible way of describing living in a society where you're continuously sort of under stress and your sort of reality is sort of denied. So I thought it was just a wonderful term and a wonderfully descriptive way of describing that sort of stress.
The documentary touches on the Black Lives Matter movement and the death of George Floyd as well. I know you're in Vancouver at this time, but back here in the UK, there's quite a discussion in football, particularly at the moment, about taking the knee before games. There are some black players who say they don't want to do it anymore. Some clubs have made that decision as well. They've talked about it maybe running its course and being sort of wallpaper, I've seen it described as well. Do you think that what we saw predominantly last year, has that been a positive catalyst for change overall?
Overall, no doubt. It's particularly in America, particularly in corporate America, and particularly, I'm particularly working for Warner Brothers right now, and they have made significant changes since George Floyd, and in terms of management, in terms of structure, and in terms of the structure of and makeup of crews. So they've made significant changes. But yes, I think perhaps gestures. The original gestures that are now 2-3 years old. Perhaps it is time to move on from that. And I would also note that racism against black footballers has gone up since players have been taking the knee. So it seems I do think perhaps there's maybe another way of addressing the problem, addressing the issue.